Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, and as always, I am podcasting to the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSP is my Twitter handle. Ryan Holmes is RHOLM22. Ryan Holmes went straight death row. All these like the gold chain right here, and Tupac and Dre behind him. But he got the 3 championships behind him. That's what's just a reminder of what it's about. Raider Nation. It's about winning the championships, and we'll see if the Raiders can do that. In this era of football, the schedule release came out, and it's amazing that this is a thing now. I mean, back in the days, the schedule used to come out and just came out. Now it's a big thing. First of all, Ryan, how you doing today? What's going on?
Good. I am podcasting off the stormy plains of East Texas right now.
There you go. You gotta love it. Any barbecue? No barbecue yet? Or you just got there?
I just tried Whataburger, and I'm going to offend some people, but I don't know how people can think Whataburger is better than In-N-Out. It's not even close.
Yeah, I've never had it, but I mean, yes, I know. I've said this. I've heard people say the same thing.
Whataburger is like McDonald's and Burger King had a baby, and they popped a burger out.
And I've heard
the chicken sandwich tastes like Wendy's.
Wendy's, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard people who live in Texas who come out here to California and said In-N-Out is better. So a lot of people I met. So I'm not sure why they get that thing going. Who knows? All right. The schedule is out. People come out with 12, 13 wins. I'm not sure I see that, but they obviously haven't seen the back half of the Raider defense. But we'll just think we'll keep it PG for all the folks right now. So you got the first 4 games. You're looking at the Patriots at the Patriots, the Chargers in Allegiant for the opener, Monday Night Football. They go to the house that Jaden Daniels built coming out, and then they play Caleb Williams at home. What are your thoughts about like the beginning? Because we'll do it in quadrants here. I think the first game is very winnable. I don't think it's going to be like, I don't think you can sit there and say the Raiders going to win this game by 2 scores. I mean, whatever. But I think, there could be like a 24-21, type win here for the Raiders. I think if everybody's healthy. But it is a winnable. You gotta win some road games to be competitive, and this is a winnable road game for them.
Definitely a winnable game. Of all the games the Raiders are going to open up with, I think they got a fair draw here. This isn't, You're not going to Baltimore. You're not playing KC.
Yep. Not at Dallas first game.
It's a 10 a.m. game, but it's week 1, so you're not really in your routine yet. So they have plenty of time to accumulate. They could fly out Wednesday or Thursday if they wanted to. Like, there's no reason why they can't get out there early.
The weather is usually not going to be an issue that early in September.
Yeah, and you got a new coaching staff there. You got new players. They overhauled the entire roster. They got a second-year quarterback who hasn't started a ton in this league that Patrick Graham should be able to diagram some stuff up against. It's a very winnable game for the Raiders. Now, whenever we say there's a winnable game for the Raiders, they should lose those games. So, but when you're just saying, okay, who are you drawing in week 1? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would have loved to have a home game, but going on the road to New England is probably one of the 2 or 3 games you'd want to start your season with the outside exception of it's a 10 a.m. game where the Raiders have struggled in the past.
Yes, no question about it. And I think also too is you mentioned about all the moving parts. You also have, can Drake May decipher, the Da Vinci Code that is the Josh McDaniel offense and just in game 1. Like, what I'm saying? I think he can do it like during the season. I think you'll probably see a better Drake May in week 10 than you see in week 1, but it's not that offense isn't, it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, he has the whole offseason to learn it, but it is complicated. So we'll see how that works as far as that goes. A lot of Raider fans are like, hey, we get the Chargers at home, coming off of Brazil, but I don't think Raider fans looked at the calendar. They have 10 days off after that game. So any nicks and bumps they have, they should be they might be able to kind of go through. But the home opener against the Chargers, obviously they play back to back teams who made the playoffs coming up.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is, and quickly on the Patriots again, real quick, they don't know what to expect from Chip Kelly. The's no tape unless they
There's
run the Ohio State offense. Like there's nothing really for Mike Vrabel to prepare for. So that's an advantage for the Raiders early in the year. Is with the Chargers, you're hoping for the letdown game. Like they're coming back, they're traveling. You're sandwiched between they're playing the Chiefs and the Broncos weeks 1 and 3. The Raiders should be able to go toe to toe with the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be a physical football game. They're going to want to line up and run the ball with Amari and Hampton, with Najee Harris. That's what Jim Harbaugh wants to do. And the Raiders have an extra day here because it's a Monday night as well. So I don't think that's really an excuse. It's a divisional game. It's home. It's on Monday Night Football. It's a great way to get the season rolling and try to get to a 2-0 start, assuming you can beat the Patriots week 1 and get that first win in the division, because that first win in the division was very elusive last year for the Raiders. They have to win in this division if they want to be a playoff team, or at least be competitive when it comes to December.
Yeah, no question about that. And that was on the itinerary to in this podcast as well, is can they get to 2-4 in the division or 3-3? Like that's a big part of the growth of this team. I don't know if they can win 2 or 3 games in this division, but if they can get to 3-3, that's incredible. 2-4 would be it would be acceptable year 1 for Pete Carroll. But I think if they get to 2-2, 2-4, 3-3 in the division games, I think that'd be a good start for the Raiders as far as that goes. I think this game is going to be probably a tougher one, because you're going on the road, you're playing Jay Daniels, who is going to be difficult to deal with. The pass rush, has to be on fire that day, because if he has to give him time, he can make plays. But what are the Commanders defensively? You know what I mean? I think that's where the Raiders. This is where the Raiders are can hang in games, because they have the offensive weapons that other teams have to really prepare for. Gentry is going to potentially be a really good running back, and then you also have, we all know about Jacoby, doesn't drop any passes, and then Brock Bowers is a guy who is just almost impossible to deal with.
This game's tough when you look at it on paper. It's the second game in 3 weeks at a 10 a.m. You're on a short week.
Mm-hmm.
You're going across the country and you're facing Jay. Now, this is when we're going to learn about this Raiders defense, because now you're facing Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin.
Yes.
You're going to have to stop the run. You're going to have to contain Jaden Daniels. You have Zach Ertz working in the middle of the field. So the Raiders are going to be challenged defensively in this game. And they're going to be tired. I know it's early in the season, week 3, but you're going across the country back and forth 2 out of 3 weeks. You're playing an emotional game on Monday night. So this is the type of game where we usually just put an L next to the Raiders, but this is the type of game, if they drop one early, that somehow they find a way to win. So if they can get to 2-0, this is a crucial point in the season, because when we get to the back half of this schedule, it's a murderer's row. They're going to have to bank 6, 7, 8 wins before they get to December if this team wants to make the playoffs.
Yeah, no question about it. And then you have, I think this is be another interesting game here. A lot of stuff came out about Caleb Williams and his dad this week. But as far as just a team goes, they're talented on both sides of the football. You get them at home. But again, a game that the Raiders should be able to play toe to toe with this team. But we'll see what Ben Johnson has up his sleeve for the Patrick Graham and company. I think this is the game where you could some of these games you're going to see, like the back half of this defense is just going to be a tough watch. And I do think for 3 weeks in a row, potentially you could see that with the Raiders facing, if Caleb Williams is going to be up to par in this game. You got Herbert, you got Jay Daniels, you got a guy who can really pass the football, and all 3 of these quarterbacks coming up in this game. And this is the second home game for the Raiders. They play the Bears.
I think when you look at this game again, we're talking about containing the quarterback, mobile quarterbacks. The Raiders face 4 mobile quarterbacks right out the gate.
Yeah,
That's
that's
something
true.
not to lose track of. Like Drake
Yes.
May can move, Justin Herbert can run and pick up yards. Jaden Daniels clearly can do that, and so could Caleb Williams. The key is going to be keeping Caleb Williams in the pocket and making him make throws. We don't know what the offense is going to look like under
Yep.
Ben Johnson. We can assume it's going to look something like the Lions, but Caleb Williams isn't the passer that Jared Goff is, and they don't have the weapons or the offensive line yet that he had with the Lions. But the Bears have a good defense. Like this is not a game to look past. Like
Yes.
they can keep the Raiders in the high teens or low 20s. They can win this game because this Raiders defense, I think, is going to be bottom 10. I know people don't want to hear that, but they don't have the personnel right now on defense to be a top 10, top 12 defense. They're going to get into shootouts, but the Raiders have the weapons to win some of those shootouts. So this will be a key game because this is a game that's going to propel them in the next four. So they need to get to 2-2. I'd love to get to 3-1 by this point because, like I said, when we start to get to the back end of the schedule, you're going to see some much tougher games.
Yeah, no question about it. Then they go, this is a game, another when this is a game that's always been like a kind of a funny game for the Raiders when they go. They've had some great games in Indianapolis, especially the Renfro sliding catch game. When Carr hit him on that one when he went on that playoff run last year. All these games here where the calls have been fun, but this is a game where this is a winnable game for them on the road. I mean, Washington will be tough, but the Patriots and Colts are you got to say they're winnable games. I mean, I'm sure we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be in that time period. I mean, how patient will they be with their quarterback before they go to Daniel Jones?
Yeah, this game to me comes down to stopping Jonathan Taylor. If they can stop
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor and make Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson beat them, they can win this game. It is another 10 a.m. game. That's 3 out of 5 out of the gate. 10 o'clock starts. So the Raiders are going to have to get geared up for that. Pete Carroll's had some success at 10 a.m. starts when he was with Seattle, but
Yeah.
he also had a prime Russell Wilson. He had Marshawn Lynch. He had the Legion of Boom. So like, I don't put a lot of stock into, well, he won at 10 a.m. 12 years ago, so he's just going to do it now. But they have to win this game. This is a game. It's in the AFC. It could be a potential tiebreaker when you start talking about playoff seeding or getting into that 7-hole, 6-hole if you want. If the Raiders want to be a playoff team, this game has to be a win.
Yeah, no question about it. Let's
And you
roll.
forgot the Greg Beaker Peyton Manning matchup if you're talking about
Greg
games in
Beaker.
Indianapolis.
That was the one that was funny. That was the game when the Raiders got down huge with when they had Gannon, right?
Yep.
And that was the Colts were killing the Raiders. And I was living on the East Coast at the time, and I was like an old lady Raider fan kept me in the sports bar because I was out the door. She was like, just stay. You're already here. Just stay. And then that was probably the one game I walked away from, and I was happy I stayed because the Raiders had a furious comeback. What a great game that was for the silver and black. If you're gonna go to a Raider game this year, okay, on October 12th, and you want to see the Raiders play well and win, I think, and it's almost, I'm not saying guaranteed. I think I am pretty positive that you're going to see a Raider win in this one at home against Cam and the Titans here. Year one for Cam, only game 6 for L. He had only played 5 games by that time. I think this is definitely a game where you want to see if you want to go to a game and take your family and not have too much stress in the fourth quarter, I think this would be the game.
Better block Jeffrey Simmons if you think it's going to be that way. But
They'll block him. They'll block him.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game the Raiders, again, they have to win. It's at home.
Yes.
You're playing a weaker opponent. They do have a young, explosive quarterback who can throw the football, but they don't have a lot of weapons on that team. It's a young offensive line. They've lost some of the depth on the defensive side. So it's a rebuilding organization there in Tennessee.
Yes.
And when you bring in Pete Carroll and you trade for Geno Smith, these are the games you have to win.
Yeah. The next one is, the Chiefs is so incredibly weird the last couple of years that the Raiders have looked terrible at home against the Chiefs, but when they go to Arrowhead, they've They've won, and they actually played. I mean, they should have at least, they should have won. They could have won that game last year. They played better at Arrowhead than they have at Allegiant, but that is what it is. Division football. Thoughts about this would be just a monumental game if they ever won this one. At KC, right?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're going to win this game. I think they're going to go into KC. The players on this roster have been around. They've been competitive. I don't think Kansas City is going to be what they've been in the past. You have a better head coach. You have a better offensive coordinator. You have a better quarterback. You have a better running game. They can keep the ball out of Mahomes' hand. It's going to come down to the back seven, and we're going to keep saying it. This secondary needs to gel. I would expect them to go out and add a veteran at some point here before training camp or once training camp starts. But I think the Raiders are going to find a way to win a game against the Chiefs this year, and I'm going to circle this one going into the bye week. It'd be huge to go into the bye and potentially be 2-0 in the AFC West if you can beat the Chargers and beat the Chiefs and set yourself up for like I said, it would set yourself up for December, because if the Raiders crawl into they crawl into their bye after, what is that, 6 games?
Yeah.
7 games.
7 games.
3-4 or 2-5, it's over.
Yeah.
This team needs to be 5-2 or at least 4-3 going into the bye.
After the bye, they play Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, a game where it's at home. So so they get to have a bye week and be at home. That's always nice. That's always nice as well. That could be again. That's going to be a back and forth tough game. We'll see how good Liam Cohen and the guys from Duval are going to be in that one. They're just kind of one of those weird teams that they could win 10 games or they can win 7 games. The Jaguars. I got to see what the impact is going to be of the new coach and the new and all of the pieces that they've added to the Jaguars.
Yeah, the key with the Jaguars is, can they run the ball and can they protect Trevor Lawrence? Because if they can do those 2 things, they're going to be a good team. If they can't pass block and they can't run the football and they put everything on Trevor Lawrence's shoulders, they're not going to win a lot of games. So it's a key game coming out of the bye, another home game. The Raiders should win that game, but when I say that, the Raiders haven't had a lot of success against the Jaguars the last few years when they played them. So we're hoping that Pete Carroll and a steady hand at quarterback can reverse some of these trends, because this schedule, like now that we're getting into November, there's a lot of winnable games early. They can win the game against the Patriots. They can win the game against the Chargers. They can win against the Bears. They can win against the Colts. They can win against the Titans. They can win against the Jaguars. But now that we get into December, when we get to that Thursday night game on the road, short week, now here comes some games that are going to be a lot harder. The Raiders have to bank wins. Yeah,
and then again, November 6th, we got our first trip to Denver. So Denver's on the docket. Denver ended the streak last year against the Raiders, sweeping the Raiders. So that's gonna be a tough game. I think they added to their secondary. So that's gonna be interesting to see. How the Raiders deal with that. And how good is DJ Harvey going to be? All those things like that. We'll see. And then year 2 for Bo Nix. How will the league really make a big jump on him, and will he struggle, or will he continue to ascend in year 2? Thoughts about the Bronco game?
This is gonna be a tough game. It's on the road, short week. Denver's defense, if they can stay healthy, now they signed Hufanga and Greenlaw. Those guys both have long checkered injury histories.
Yep.
And now that we're into November, like if those guys are on the field, and then you put the pass rush and Zach Allen and then you put Patrick Surtain on the field, this is going to be a tough game to go on the road and win on a short week. So this is probably one that I would put an L next to. Not saying they can't beat them later in the year, but it's a quick turnaround, short week, really good defense you're going up against. I don't know if the Raiders defense can keep them in this game. The offense is going to have to go out and score 30 to win this game, and I don't know if they can do that against the Broncos defense.
And I do like Johnny Barrett as well too. So they picked him up as well to go along with that secondary. So we'll see what happens there. Home game. Now this is where you get back-to-back home games against 2 really big time teams. I don't know what Schottenheimer's going to be as a head coach. We'll have to see. Hopefully he doesn't have the winning streak that his dad had against the Raiders. but they have if they're healthy, if Dak is playing in this game, and they had those two guys on the outside. This will be one of the games where they could have a really tough time with an opponent's aerial attack here.
Yeah, the key to this is the Ashton Gentry national stage 200-yard rushing game.
Yes.
The Cowboys aren't very good at stopping the run. This is turn it around, hand it to the guy you took number 6 in the draft, and let him go wild. So if the Raiders want to win this game,
37 carries.
This will be the game that propels Ashton Gentry to win Rookie of the Year right here.
Yeah. So you have that, and then you have if they did happen to lose those couple of games, maybe say they beat the Jaguars and then lost 2 in a row, then you get the Browns at home. The Browns are that's another winnable game. They got 9 home games this year. That's a very winnable game. The Chargers come up. I'm not gonna spend too much time on the Browns.
You better block Myles Garrett.
Well, I mean, they got to run the football in that game too, though. Yeah, they got. The thing about the Browns is the Browns do have a lot of talent on that team. It's not like they're just like
quarterback is.
Yeah, but we have no idea who's playing quarterback. So I mean, it could be Sanders, it could be Gabriel, it could be Flacco. We have no idea. It could be Bernie Kosar.
And their offensive line is going in the wrong direction. They were a very good unit a few years ago. They've lost some pieces and a lot of injuries. So Raiders need to win both of those games.
Yeah, they do. And then the Chargers, the SoFi mystery has not been solved yet. I have no idea why. I've been there. I think you've been there. It is filled with Raider fans. And for some reason, the Raiders do not win in SoFi. It is the weirdest effing thing I've ever seen.
Not only do they not win, they lay an egg. Like they're not even competitive.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I did think I think it was one year where they were down 21-0, and they came back and make it 17-21. I thought maybe they'd come back and win that one, but
was it that game?
Is
an interception?
Yeah.
James, I left.
Yeah, I thought when they were down 21-14 and he hit a bomb to Ruggs, I was like, oh, they're gonna come back and win this game. And then it didn't happen. But yeah, the SoFi mystery is just weird. So you gotta put an L there for that one. And then they get a home game. This is where you got a home game against Denver. You get them on a regular week. You got to have an opportunity here you got to start splitting with some of these division opponents to show that you are a good team. And I think they have a chance to split with Denver here.
Yeah, I think at the end of the year, we talked about short week on a Thursday on the road, but I think they can come home and win. I have them splitting. I think they're going to go 3-3 in the division. I think they split with all 3 of them. I don't think this is a good division. All 4 of these teams have talent.
Yep.
I don't think the Raiders are in a position where they're going to sweep any of these teams, but I also don't think they're in a position where it's a layup. They're going to lose both games to all 3 of the teams in the division.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Having said that, I probably have them losing the week prior to the Chargers, but coming home and winning again. And we talk about this every year. They have to start winning games at Allegiant.
Yes.
They have to take home field advantage. They have not done that. And people can say whatever they want about the fans selling their tickets and all that, but if Raider fans want to go, they have to pay the going cost and get in there and support the team. They can't just think it's Oakland and pay $25 for a ticket at game time and go in there and then cry about it on the back end. So Raider fans, if you want them to have an home field advantage, buy the tickets and go to the games.
And I think it's on the Raiders too to make sure that at the beginning of the season, grab some of these early wins so fans later in the year can just be like, okay, you know what? All right, where's the American Express? Okay, I got it. I'll swipe it. Like, you know what I mean?
It's on the team to put a better product on the field.
Yes,
I think that they've
100%.
done that this year, at least offensively. I think they've taken a step back defensively. But I think this offense will be fun enough to watch to where people should want to pay the money and go see them.
Yes. No question about it. We are at this is the guaranteed loss game of the year. Let's wait. I mean, unless there's a
Jalen Hurts is hurt and they're running out Tanner McKee or who's the backup quarterback there now.
Yeah, I mean, or if you're in a situation where they flop at this OC, the new OC flops. Like maybe he's maybe he's just a terrible OC and he can't run this offense. So so we'll see what happens there. So I think the Eagles game I think even the most chest out Raider fan we'll give them an L on that one if everybody's healthy on both sides. Then they go at Texans. They go at the Texans. Texans we got to see what I talked about the OC in Philly. They got a new OC in with the Texans. Thoughts about the Texans game, because the Texans are a team that's won a couple playoff games back to back years, but they're still searching for that for that offense to kind of click the way they wanted to with CJ Stroud.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the offensive line in Houston too. We keep saying that, but that's what's going to happen with most of these teams. They have the quarterback, they have Joe Mixon, they have some weapons. Can Nico Collins stay healthy? Is Tank Dell going to come back at some point this year and be a force? They have two edge rushers. They can get after the quarterback with Hunter. They can get after the quarterback with Anderson. They have Petrie, who's a playmaker in the secondary. You have Stingley. If the offensive line can be average in Houston, they're a playoff team. So this is a game. If they don't win their division, this is a game to circle again. Like if we're in December and the Raiders are at 7, 8, 9 wins, these are the games they have to win. So they not only can get an extra win, you need tiebreakers on these teams that could be potential teams that you may be facing to get into the playoffs.
And then you gotta
I will be at that game. I'm 95% sure I will be in Houston for that game.
Okay, cool. And then you have the Giants. So is this a James Winston game? Is it a game where Jackson Dart is making a start in this game? Like, who knows what they are? I think the Giants have some talented players on the defensive line. So the offensive line, the Raiders should bring their hard hats this game, because they got some guys who can get after the quarterback. But what are your thoughts about the Giants game? It seems like a game that's another one of these winnable 9 home games for the Raiders.
This is the game I've circled is the Raiders trap game. You have Kansas City to end the year at home. It's Christmas week. New York Giants coming across the country. Their fans are going to fill up that stadium.
Yeah.
We can talk about the quarterback all we want. They have to stop Malik Neighbors. They don't have anyone in that secondary that can cover Malik Neighbors. And we didn't even talk about their defensive line. They got to block those monsters.
They got guys.
Will Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. Like, this Giants team is going to win more games than people think this year. Now, they're in a tough division. I mean, they're staring up at Washington and Philly and Dallas. I would not be surprised if they found a way to win 6, 7, 8 games this year, even though they're in that division, because that defensive line is nasty.
Yeah, they can get after the quarterback like nobody's business. No question.
They don't have to blitz at all. Just let those guys eat.
That's the way I would play it. That's the way I would play it. No question about it. Chiefs at home, and you don't have them sweeping the Chiefs. Do you have them sweeping the Chiefs? You have them splitting with the Chiefs. Splitting with the Chiefs. So yeah, you have them splitting with everybody. So the whole role reversal thing with the Chiefs, the Raiders play well at Arrowhead and don't play well at Allegiant for them. So right now, I mean, I know it's just so much going on. June 1st could bring some things to the Raiders too as well. But what are your thoughts about the kind of an overall record you think for the Raiders? I think 7-11. But what are your thoughts about the Raiders?
I will say this about Kansas City week 18. Every year when the schedule comes out, that is the exact game I want on the schedule in week 18 because
they're not going to play.
It's usually a divisional game.
Yeah, you're right.
So unless it had number 1 seeding on the line, which I believe it did last year, they needed to win to keep Buffalo getting number 1 seed. But if they've locked up home field advantage, they're not going to play anyone.
Yes.
It's not a free win, but like if you're talking about winning divisional game the last week of the year, and it's the Chargers playing the Chiefs and they rest everyone, or the Broncos and they rest everyone, like there's a chance you only play the Chiefs once, even though they're on your schedule twice. Like there's a chance.
That's true.
Now you don't want that to happen. You want Mahomes to play and you want to beat him, but that's the game you want on the schedule in week 18 of all the teams that are out there. That's the one you want. So pretty excited about that. It's the last week. It's at home. Hopefully it's for the division. I have a hard time believing it will be for the division. I have the Raiders at 8 and 9. I think they're going to win 8. There's a chance if everything goes right, if everyone stays healthy, maybe they get to 10 wins. But the Raiders are 1 or 2 injuries away. If Max Crosby goes down, if Genty goes down, if Brock Bowers goes down, you're basically looking at last year's team. And again, I already don't think this defense is going to be very, very good. There's not a lot of talent on the defense.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of young guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm really concerned with. Now, Gino usually plays a whole lot. So I'm not. So Gino getting hurt. I'm not. But Genty plays a position where he could possibly, miss some games. Like, I mean, he definitely gets hit. He definitely goes to contact a lot and is it is what it is. So like, I don't want to see Raheem Mostert play a bunch of meaningful snaps. I want him to be the change of pace guy that he is, but that's what I'm worried about the most with this team is the depth at those two positions. I just don't ever want to see no kind of play. That's part of the reason why I want to draft quarterbacks. I don't ever want to see him play ever again. But it's a possibility. If the Raiders don't keep Geno Smith healthy. Now the team looks when you watch the behind the scenes stuff, they look really good. As far as like just everybody seems happy, everybody seems like they got a guy at quarterback. Hopefully that continues. They should be explosive. I don't think there's any question about that part of it. And then we'll take it from there. Anybody from the June 1st cuts you might be looking for that the rumor the Raiders might try to add anybody, or you think this is pretty much the squad?
Most of the guys that are going to be cut June 1st that was already announced back in March. Yeah. It's just a transaction thing that happens in the league office June 1st. The only guy that's kind of out there is Jalen Ramsey. He's still on the Dolphins. He won't be with the Dolphins come week 1. They haven't really made a move yet. So you're not going to see other than him. I don't expect some superstar just to become available. Now there might be a guy who can be your third corner. It could be your nickel, something like that. There are guys that they can go out and get, but right now you're in the OTA phase. See what the young guys have. Give them reps. See who's developed. And when the pads come on and you get into camp, now you're in week 1, week 2. You play a preseason game. Now you know. Okay, we've seen these guys in the offseason. We've seen them with pads on. Okay, we need this. We need that. So we'll see what happens. I would say looking at the schedule, normally we look at the schedule and we just talk about this murderer's row of quarterbacks the Raiders have to play. I don't think they have that on the schedule this year. So that's the one positive factor too. When you look at it, you're getting Drake May week 1, who's in year 2. You're getting Caleb Williams. We don't know what he's going to do. You're getting a Daniel Jones. You're getting a Cam Ward. You're getting Trevor Lawrence. We don't know what's going on there. You're getting Cleveland, whoever Cleveland runs out there, whoever the Giants are going to run out there. So they face some really good quarterbacks, but there's also quarterbacks they face where the Raiders are going to have the distinct advantage. And it's been a long time since we can go into a game and say the Raiders have the better quarterback on over half the games they're going to play.
Did you have a record for the Raiders?
I'm going to go 8-9.
8-9. Okay.
I do think there is a pathway to get to 10. Yeah. I also think there's a pathway to get to 6. If this is a bottom 5 defense as far as points scored and Geno's turning the ball over, I could see them winning 5 games. But comfortably, I think 8, and because I do think the guardrails are 7-9, somewhere in that range.
Some NFL stuff here. They're meeting now to kind of go back and forth about changing the playoff format in the National Football League. We kind of talked about that on text. What are your thoughts about the format being changed? Where if you have a situation like Minnesota last year, Minnesota had a better record than the Rams, but the Rams had a home game because they were a division champion. And that would be reversed now. That would be where the game would be in Minnesota. To kind of give people the background about it. What are your thoughts about that?
I have a hard time believing that enough owners are going to be behind saying, yeah, if we win our division, we may not get a home game because of all the money this is about money. Yeah. Those owners are not just going to hand money to the other owners because of record. So I do think at the end of the day, winning your division is still important and it should matter. I'm more interested in the other half of that proposal, which is reseeding after the first round, which I'm absolutely think they need to do. Reseed it after the first round and line them up kind of like hockey does. So like you have better matchups and you're not stuck with some of the stuff that's been happening the last couple of years. So I heard that was part of it, and we'll see what happens when they start voting on it. But I don't expect the owners.
So reseeding in the second round, get an example would be. If you have an upset, then you're gonna if you're number 1 seed, you're gonna face the worst,
face the lowest seed
available. Okay.
Yeah, not like a bracket format, kind of like how they have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. That actually makes, because I mean, I don't see that shouldn't be a problem, because if you're in the higher seed, second, you're a 2 seed or 1, you should face the lowest seed possible available to you because you've earned that right. with the regular season.
I believe that was part of the proposal. I could be wrong, but I thought I read that.
All right. I think so no looking thinking about the schedule, no real cold weather situations for him besides the Philly game late, right? So that's favorable as well.
A lot of dome games.
A lot of dome games. So is I've been seeing other people post this stuff. Is Gino like this lightning rod in these games? Is he in these dome games? Does he have a great record or was up
He's
huge
like prime
numbers?
Joe Montana if you look at
Is
his numbers on the dome.
numbers in the dome? So we'll see. So we'll see what happens with that part of it. Um, and then I think that's pretty much it. So so I think it's one game difference between. I think it's a game difference between both of us. For 7 wins, 8 wins as far as that goes. And then I think the last thing would be a realistic outlook for Genti. Like what are we looking at here? Do you worry about overuse or anything like that, or you just feel like just hey, let's like he's young, you pick him in the top 10, just give him the goddamn ball and then get out of the way.
Yeah. If you take him 6th overall, I'm expecting him to finish in the top 2 or 3 in Rookie of the Year. I'm expecting
Yeah,
1,200 yards. I'm expecting 50 catches. I'm expecting 8 to 10 to 12 touchdowns. Like he needs to be a real difference maker for where they took him.
yeah,
And hopefully he gets to that point. If he's splitting carries and at the end of the year, like if he gets hurt, that's something. But if he plays most of the games and he ends up with 700 or 800 yards and average 3.5 yards a carry, that's a huge problem.
yeah,
And this team won't win a lot of games if that happens. So
yeah.
um, I expect him to be better than that, and we'll see what happens at the end of the day.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Raiders. Coming up, June 1st is another day. I mean, a lot of stuff is coming. We'll see. I think the one guy who I think you mentioned it would be Jalen Ramsey, but does Jalen Ramsey want to play for a team that's going close to the Super Bowl, or does he want to play just to get paid for somebody? Money talks. So
Money talks, and he would
money
be the number
talks.
one corner. I think he wants to be moved around. He wants to cover number one guys. He wants to move inside, and he doesn't want to just stick to one side of the field or do that. So Patrick Graham can do that. Um, I just think there's so many other holes on this team. Fine, you throw Jalen Ramsey out there. Well, I'm just going to throw at the other
The other
corner. I'm going
guy,
to throw at the
yeah,
backers, or I'm going to hit the tight end. Like
yeah,
I don't know how the Raiders are going to cover on the back end this year, unless they just play a ton of zone and rally and tackle. Because people want to talk about Jacorian Bennett as this cornerback one in the league. He is
yeah,
not a number one corner in the NFL. Like he has a chance to be a solid two. When you look at the grand scheme of things, he's not there yet.
yeah,
He didn't start a lot of games last year. He wasn't targeted a lot, but he didn't start a lot. He kind of came in on third downs. They moved Nate Hobbs inside. Like people are acting like they just lined him up against the other team's number one for 17 games and he went full Patrick Surtain. Like people are getting crazy talking about some of this stuff, but he has a chance to be a good, solid starter in the league.
yeah.
He's not there yet. He needs more reps. He needs to develop. He needs to get a turnover before we
Yeah.
start talking about stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and we also need to stop the Eric Stokes breakdowns on
Yeah,
Twitter.
Eric Stokes, we don't
Yeah,
know
let's
what we're
stop.
getting there. He
Let's
hasn't
stop.
been good in 4 years. We don't know
Yeah,
what Darnay Holmes is going to give you. Like, is it
yeah,
mediocre slot play? Like, what are you getting out of DeCamerion Richardson? Like, you
yeah,
hope that he develops, but so I fully expect Patrick Graham to just play a ton of base zone and just let these guys run around and react. Just play a lot of cover three, mix in cover one. I don't know how much they're really going to blitz early in the year because you
yeah,
don't know what you have on the back end.
yeah,
I don't know how they're going to cover at linebacker. If we're being real, like a Landon Roberts shouldn't be on the field on third downs, and
yeah,
neither should Devin White. And they just cut Amari Burney, and Amani Gainer is like a high-waisted straight line guy. He's not a coverage guy. Neither is Tommy Eichenberg. Like I fully expect Jeremy
yeah,
Chinn's going to slide down and play nickel linebacker. Um, who's the other linebacker that's going to help? So the Raiders are going to be in the waiver wire. It's not going to be Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith probably won't make this team.
yeah,
I don't know if people remember, but he was on the team in 2023, started one game and got released the week after. So like,
yeah,
let's stop the Jalen Smith, former Pro Bowler, Raiders signed a stud. Like, that's not what's going on here. So
yeah,
there are a lot of issues on this defense, and that we want to say the defensive line is going to make up for that, but they can't get to the quarterback in 2.5 seconds every play. So like, there's going to
yeah,
be guys running open. So they're going to play a ton of zone and then rally and tackle and hope you get to the quarterback enough, and you create a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this defense is going to be in the bottom 10 in points allowed.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, Ryan, enjoy yourself. Take care and have a Whataburger on me.
I'm good. Like once a month. And I go chicken sandwich. I don't even want the hamburger.
No question.
Spicy chicken sandwich.
That's all right. There you go. There you go. All right, Ray Nation. Take care. See you, Ryan.
All right. Take care.